Pain is a visitor, not a master. Pain arrives at our doorstep, uninvited, often unwelcome, yet it demands attention. But the Stoics, calm in the face of storms, remind us, pain is a visitor, not a master. It knocks, it calls out, it even enters the room. But it is we who decide whether it stays to feast at our table. Pain is weather. It sweeps in like a thunderstorm, fierce and loud. Yet no storm has ever held the sky forever. And no pain, no matter how searing, owns the soul that refuses to bow. To resist or to transcend. There are two ways to meet pain. One is resistance, tensing the body, tightening the mind, raging against what is. The other is transcendence, seeing pain as part of the order of life, as natural as nightfall and sunrise. The Stoic does not resist the inevitable. He does not curse the rain or the cold. He prepares himself inwardly to meet them with calm, even with dignity. Pain, then, is not a war we are forced to fight. It is a phenomenon we are invited to understand. Pain and the inner citadel. Epictetus spoke often of the inner citadel, that fortress within the self, untouched by external harm. The body may be broken, the reputation may be stained, the fortunes may be lost, but the mind, the true self, remains invulnerable if guarded well. Pain pounds at the walls of the citadel. It throws rocks and fire at the gates. But the wise builder has prepared strong defenses. Reason, acceptance, clarity. Pain cannot break the gates unless we open them from within. The error of identifying with pain. A profound error arises when we begin to believe we are our pain. I am broken, we say. I am wounded. I am defeated. But these are lies, the mind tells itself, under duress. You are not your injury. You are not your sorrow. You are the consciousness that perceives these events and that can choose its response. The Stoic separates himself from what happens to him. Pain is a fact. Suffering is a choice. Preparing the mind before the battle. Seneca recommended a daily practice of premeditatio malorum, the meditation on potential hardships. Each day, imagine losing what you cherish: health, loved ones, wealth, reputation. Why? Because when loss comes, and it will, you will not be stunned into despair. You will be ready. Pain, like an enemy in the field, is most dangerous when it surprises us. The prepared mind meets pain not with panic, but with poise. To the Stoic, foreseeing pain disarms its terror. Voluntary hardship, the Stoic's secret weapon. True strength is not built by avoiding pain, but by seeking controlled doses of it. The Stoics sometimes practiced voluntary hardship, sleeping on hard ground, wearing simple clothes, eating plain food, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they trained themselves to be indifferent to it. When luxury is stripped away, the mind discovers its true riches. When comfort is removed, the soul remembers its hidden powers. Pain endured willingly loses its fangs. The freedom found beyond pain. Beyond pain lies freedom, not the freedom from hurt, but the freedom from fear of hurt. Imagine a man who knows that pain can touch him, but cannot define him. He walks into storms with steady eyes. He loses what he loves without losing himself. He dies without terror. This is the Stoic ideal. A life lived fully, not in spite of pain, but because pain has been placed in its rightful place, small, passing, powerless over the mind's throne. Pain is a lie only because it claims to be bigger than you. It claims permanence. It claims authority. But your reason, your virtue, your will, they are older, deeper, stronger. When you recognize this, you will not merely endure pain. You will transcend it. The nature of endurance. What is endurance but the silent proof of the soul's supremacy over pain? Endurance is not a loud rebellion, nor a desperate clenching of the fists. It is quiet. It is steady. It is the man who continues to work with bleeding hands. The woman who continues to love despite heartbreak. The soldier who marches on through the cold, the hunger, the fear. Endurance is not the absence of pain. It is the triumph over pain's dominion. And in enduring, we do not merely survive, we are made greater. Pain and the power of reason. Reason is the Stoic sword against the confusion of suffering. When pain strikes, the untrained mind wails, "Why me?" It imagines itself a victim of cruel fate. But the trained mind responds differently. It observes. It questions. It separates what is within control from what is not. Reason examines pain. Is it unbearable? Is it permanent? Is it evil? Most often, reason finds that pain is none of these things. Pain is heavy, yes, but the mind is stronger still. The choice to agree or refuse. Pain proposes a story. You are weak, it says. You are ruined. But the mind retains the sovereign right to agree or to refuse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have been formed by nature to bear all that your own opinion can bear. It is not pain itself that crushes the soul, it is the consent of the soul to be crushed." The wise man does not agree. He feels the pain. He acknowledges it, but he does not bow to it. Training the will through pain. Every encounter with pain is a test of the will. Each time we hold firm in the face of suffering, the will grows stronger. Each time we resist the temptation to surrender to despair, discipline is deepened. Pain is the gymnasium of the soul. It forces growth that comfort cannot offer. The Stoic trains himself as a runner trains for the race, not by avoiding the track, but by embracing the difficulty of it. Thus, pain is not the enemy of greatness. It is its midwife. Gratitude for hardship. It may seem strange, even cruel, to suggest gratitude for pain. But the Stoics saw hardship as a divine gift, a tutor sent by the universe itself. Without pain, there is no tempering of character. Without hardship, there is no development of inner fire. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Pain is the proving ground. It strips away the false and reveals the real. Those who have suffered deeply and endured walk through the world with a serenity that the untested can scarcely imagine. Pain teaches us what truly matters. When comfort is stripped away, we discover what cannot be taken from us. Pain shows us that wealth, beauty, reputation, all are fleeting. All can be lost in a moment. What remains? The virtues: courage, justice, temperance, wisdom. Pain clears away the noise of life and forces us to confront these foundations. And if we find that we have built well, if we find that virtue lives within us, we know that no amount of suffering can destroy what truly matters. Facing death without fear. At the end of every life stands the greatest pain, death itself. The Stoics did not fear it. They saw it as a return to nature, as natural as the setting sun. To prepare for pain is to prepare for death. To meet pain with calm is to meet death without trembling. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The man who is unafraid of pain is unafraid of death. And the man unafraid of death is truly free. The ultimate victory. In the final reckoning, what is the victory over pain? It is not that pain ceases to visit us. It is that it ceases to command us. We move through life as through a battlefield, sometimes wounded, sometimes tired, but always upright, always forward. Pain becomes another feature of the landscape, no more terrifying than the cold wind or the burning sun. The victory is in this. Pain loses its sting because we have understood it. We have placed it in its rightful place. We have denied it the throne it demands. And in doing so, we become what we were meant to be, masters of ourselves. The architecture of a Stoic mind. The mind of a Stoic is built like a strong and simple house. Its walls are made of reason. Its doors are guarded by virtue. Its foundation is acceptance of nature. Pain may pound against the walls. Fear may scratch at the doors, but the house remains. Why? Because it was not built for comfort. It was built for storms. The mind trained in Stoicism does not collapse under pain. It shelters within itself and waits for the storm to pass. The danger of luxury and softness. Comfort seduces. Luxury softens. The Stoics warned often about the dangers of ease. When life becomes too smooth, the soul grows flabby. It forgets how to endure. It forgets that hardship is the natural state of existence. Pain, paradoxically, preserves our strength. It reminds us that life is not a banquet, but a battle. It recalls to us the truth, that true happiness is not found in avoiding hardship, but in triumphing over it. A life without pain is a life without growth. The silent brotherhood of those who endure. Across centuries and continents, there exists an invisible brotherhood. It is not made of titles or wealth. It is not built on fame or power. It is made of those who have suffered deeply and have kept walking. Those who have known despair and have not given up. The Stoics belong to this brotherhood. And if you have ever borne pain without surrendering your soul, you belong to it too. It is a brotherhood of scars, but also of quiet triumph. Small pains, big victories. It is easy to speak of grand suffering, loss of loved ones, crippling disease, mortal wounds. But much of life's battle lies in small pains. The ache of disappointment, the sting of insult, the boredom of daily struggle. The Stoic treats small pains as seriously as great ones. For each time we master a minor discomfort, we build habits of resilience. Each time we refuse to be disturbed by little things, we prepare ourselves for the big ones. Victory is not won in a single heroic moment. It is accumulated in 1,000 quiet decisions. Self-command in the face of pain. Self-command is the highest power. It is the ability to choose your response, even when every nerve cries out to react. Pain tempts us to lash out, to complain, to despair. The Stoic resists. He does not pretend that pain is pleasant. He simply refuses to surrender his dignity to it. Self-command says, "This hurts, but it does not control me. I will act according to my principles, not my sensations." And in doing so, he remains free, even in chains, even under the lash, even facing death. The joy beyond pain. It may seem strange, even impossible, to imagine joy beyond pain. Yet the Stoics hint at a deeper joy. The joy of being unmoved by fate. The joy of standing upright in the storm. It is not the joy of pleasure. It is the joy of self-respect. It is the quiet, shining pride that grows in the soul of one who has been tested and who has not been found wanting. Pain strips away illusions, and what remains, if it is strong, gleams more brightly for the fire it has survived. Seeing pain as nature's law. The universe is not cruel. It is indifferent. Pain is not a punishment sent by angry gods. It is a byproduct of the nature of things. Birth brings tears. Growth brings soreness. Life itself guarantees struggle. To rage against pain is to rage against existence itself. The wise man accepts pain as he accepts the tides, the seasons, the turning of the earth. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means clarity. To see pain as natural is to strip it of its bitterness. Mastering the only realm you truly own. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches mastery over the only realm we truly control. Our own minds. We cannot govern the world. We cannot stop pain from arriving at our doorstep, but we can govern our reactions. We can master our own inner kingdom. Pain will knock. Pain will shout. Pain will demand surrender. But we will answer, calmly and firmly. You have no authority here, and we will continue, step by step, building lives of reason, virtue, and quiet strength. The illusion of endless suffering. Pain whispers that it will never end. It stretches each second into an eternity. It convinces the mind that tomorrow will be no different, that every path forward is closed. But the Stoics taught a deeper truth. Nothing in nature is endless, not even suffering. Storms pass. Wounds heal. Hearts, though cracked, find new ways to beat. The mind that remembers the impermanence of all things, including pain, finds patience where despair once lived. Distinguishing pain from harm. A subtle but crucial Stoic teaching is the distinction between pain and true harm. Pain is bodily. It is a sensation, an impression. Harm, however, strikes the soul. When virtue is lost, when reason is abandoned. Thus, the wise Stoic can endure great pain without believing himself harmed. He can suffer in the body while keeping his soul intact. A man can be wounded in battle, chained in prison, struck by misfortune, but if he keeps his reason and virtue, he remains unharmed. The mirror of pain. Pain is a mirror. It reflects who we are not in comfort, but in crisis. When pressed by agony or fear, what emerges? Anger, self-pity, wisdom, courage. Pain strips away the mask. It reveals the true architecture of the soul. Thus, to meet pain with clarity and fortitude is not merely to survive, but to see oneself clearly and to shape oneself consciously. Pain does not create character, it exposes it. Practicing indifference to indifferent things. The Stoics divided all things into two categories: what is within our control and what is not. Pain, as an external sensation, belongs to the second category. It is an indifferent thing, not good, not bad in itself. Virtue, the Stoics said, is the only true good. Vice, the only true evil. Thus, whether pain comes or goes, is secondary. What matters is whether the soul remains virtuous in its presence. Practicing indifference to pain is practicing loyalty to what truly matters. How the Stoics used pain as a compass. Strangely, the Stoics sometimes welcomed pain not for itself, but as a compass. Pain often marks the boundary of growth. Where there is discomfort, there is the possibility of transformation. A philosopher seeks truth. Truth often hurts. It shatters illusions. It demands sacrifice. Thus, when the Stoic encounters pain, he asks, what falsehood is being burned away here? What weakness is being revealed for me to strengthen? Pain points the way if we are willing to follow. Memory as a weapon against pain. Memory is a powerful tool in the Stoics' arsenal. When pain strikes, memory recalls past battles, past sufferings endured and conquered. You have survived worse, memory whispers. You have felt this before, and you are still here. The mind draws strength from its own victories. The scars are not marks of weakness, but of experience. And when new pain arrives, it finds a soul armored by remembrance, not naked, not afraid, but ready. The community of the suffering. Pain can be isolating. It shrinks the world to a small, dark chamber. But the Stoics remind us, all human beings suffer. Pain is the common thread of mortality. In knowing that others, too, face their own private torments, we can feel a quiet fellowship. We are not alone. We are walking paths well trodden by the wise, the brave, and the enduring. To suffer is to join the human family in its deepest reality. Living lightly, carrying pain lightly. Seneca advised living life lightly, not grasping too hard, not fearing too much. Pain, too, should be carried lightly. It is a burden, yes, but one need not stagger under its weight. Carry it as a traveler carries a pack. Firmly, but without becoming identified with it. You are not your pack. You are not your pain. You are the traveler. Moving onward, moving upward, despite the load. Reframing pain. From enemy to ally. Pain is often seen as the enemy, the unwelcome invader of peace. But the Stoic reframes pain. He sees it not as a curse, but as an invitation. Pain invites vigilance. It invites wisdom. It invites inner strength. An enemy attacks blindly. An ally sharpens your sword, strengthens your walls, trains your spirit. Viewed rightly, pain does not destroy the Stoic. It refines him. The importance of practicing while calm, training for adversity, must begin in times of peace. The Stoic does not wait for catastrophe to begin his inner work. He practices detachment when fortunes are good. He reflects on mortality while healthy. He prepares for loss while surrounded by abundance. Thus, when true hardship arrives, he meets it not as a stranger, but as an old acquaintance. His mind, already disciplined, does not falter. Preparation makes pain manageable. Anticipation removes its sharpest teeth. Facing the inescapable. There are sufferings no preparation can prevent. There are blows that no wisdom can fully soften. The Stoic accepts this without bitterness. Some storms cannot be diverted. Some nights must be walked through. But even then, something remains within reach. The power to endure, the freedom to choose one's attitude, the ability to find dignity in the darkest hours. The Stoic faces the inescapable with open eyes and steady heart. The gentle power of patience. Patience is not weakness. It is strength restrained. It is easy to cry out against pain, to demand its end, to curse its persistence. But patience sits quietly. It breathes. It waits. It understands that time erodes even the greatest mountains. That pain, like all things, diminishes in the face of steadfast endurance. The Stoic trains patience, as a warrior trains for battle, not to avoid struggle, but to master it. Finding beauty amidst suffering. Even in pain, there can be glimpses of beauty. The kindness of a friend's hand, the quiet resilience of the heart continuing to beat, the stubborn blooming of courage in barren soil. The Stoics were not blind to beauty, they simply refused to be its slaves. They found it not only in pleasant gardens, but also in the way a soul can remain pure under trial, in the nobility of a man who smiles in adversity. Pain does not banish beauty. It reveals a deeper, rarer kind. Stoic joy, a quiet affirmation of life. There is a Stoic joy that flows beneath sorrow, a quiet affirmation that life, with all its pain, is still worthy. It is not the noisy happiness of the crowd. It is not the thrill of fortune. It is the silent pride of one who has chosen virtue over ease, courage over fear, wisdom over despair. This joy does not laugh loudly. It endures. It looks at the hardships of existence and still says calmly, I will live, I will love, I will strive. Anchoring the soul in what cannot be taken. Everything external can be taken from us. Wealth can vanish. Health can crumble. Reputation can be stained. Even life itself can be demanded. But reason, virtue, and will these reside within. They are immune to the accidents of fate. The Stoic anchors himself there, deep in the bedrock of the soul. When the storms strip away the surface, he remains standing, rooted in what cannot be stolen. The great equalizer. Pain touches all, the mighty and the lowly, the wise and the foolish. It humbles kings. It visits beggars. In pain, we are stripped of our illusions of superiority. We stand, at last, as equals frail, mortal, striving. The Stoic sees this not as tragedy, but as truth. Pain reminds us of our shared humanity. It invites compassion without sentimentality, humility without despair. In its harsh embrace, we remember that we are all travelers on the same difficult road. Preparing the mind for the ultimate test. All the training of the Stoic mind, the reflection, the endurance, the discipline, leads to one final preparation, the readiness to meet the ultimate test without fear. Death. Pain is but the rehearsal. Pain teaches us to loosen our grip on the fleeting, to place our hopes not on the length of life, but on the quality of the soul. Thus, when death approaches, the Stoic is not surprised. He has already practiced the art of letting go. Practicing the art of letting go, everything we cling to in life is temporary. Possessions, achievements, relationships, even our own bodies, all pass away. Pain reminds us of this impermanence. It warns us not to build our identity on sand. The Stoic learns, little by little, to let go of expectations, of illusions, of false securities. In practicing detachment, he becomes freer, not cold, not uncaring, but wise. He loves fully, yet without chains. Pain and the architecture of meaning. Suffering by itself is chaos. It seems random, unjust, cruel. But the mind has the power to build meaning within suffering. The Stoics do not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "How can this be used for virtue?" Pain, framed correctly, becomes the mortar with which we build endurance, compassion, wisdom. It becomes not the destroyer of life's purpose, but its hidden architect. Living in agreement with nature. Nature includes pain. It includes loss. It includes decay. The Stoic seeks not to fight nature, but to live in agreement with it. To resist the tides of existence is to exhaust oneself in a futile battle. To flow with them rationally, virtuously, is to find peace, even amidst hardship. Pain is part of nature's rhythm. It is not a mistake. It is not an anomaly. It is part of the same order that brings joy, growth, love. Choosing to live according to virtue, not circumstance. The Stoic's choice is simple, though never easy. To let circumstances dictate the soul, or to let virtue do so. Pain is a circumstance. It presses. It urges surrender. But the Stoic, centered in virtue, remains unmoved. He does not act well, only when life is easy. He acts well, precisely when life is hardest. His measure is not the comfort he gains, but the character he keeps. The strength hidden in gentleness. True strength is not brutal. It is not loud. The Stoic shows that gentleness and strength are not enemies. To face pain without rage is strength. To endure suffering without bitterness is power. The soul trained by Stoicism is strong like water. Yielding, flexible, yet unstoppable. It bends around obstacles. It wears down mountains. Gentleness is not weakness. It is the highest form of mastery. Living each day as a complete life. Pain tempts us to postpone living. It says, "Wait until you are healed. Wait until you are whole." The Stoic refuses. Each day, no matter how marked by pain, is to be lived fully, not waiting for perfection, but embracing the imperfect present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Pain cannot cancel today's opportunity for virtue. Death as liberation, not defeat. At the final horizon stands death. To many, it is the ultimate defeat. But to the Stoic, It is the natural completion of life's cycle. It is the release from the limitations of the body. It is the end of pain's dominion. To die, having lived in accordance with nature and reason, is not tragedy. It is fulfillment. Thus, the Stoic greets death not with despair, but with calm acceptance. And in doing so, he achieves the final and greatest freedom. The wisdom of accepting pain before it comes. The Stoics practiced a quiet habit to meditate each morning on the hardships that might arise. This was not pessimism, it was preparation. They imagined pain not to invite it, but to greet it without fear should it appear. By accepting the possibility of pain before it arrived, they robbed it of its power to shock, to dismay, to overwhelm. Expectation tempered experience. Foreknowledge strengthened endurance. The futility of complaints. Complaining about pain is as useless as cursing the wind. It changes nothing. It weakens the soul. The Stoic does not waste breath on complaints. He conserves his strength for what matters. Thoughtful action, wise endurance, clear judgment. Each moment spent railing against fate is a moment lost to virtue. Thus, silence in the face of suffering is not denial, it is discipline. It is the refusal to be ruled by helplessness. Pain, as a sculptor of the will. The raw material of life, our experiences, our hardships, our joys, is shaped by the will. Pain is the rough chisel. It strikes, it cuts, it demands. But under its blows, the rough stone can become a statue of enduring beauty. The weak will crumble at the first blow. The strong will grow more defined, more purposeful, more magnificent with each strike. The Stoic sees in each hardship the hand of a hidden sculptor, shaping him into what he was meant to become. The false promise of a life without pain. Modern dreams whisper of a life free from suffering. A paradise of constant pleasure, unbroken ease. But this is a mirage. Without struggle, there is no strength. Without loss, no gratitude. Without death, no true reverence for life. The Stoics understood. A painless life is not a blessing. It is a deprivation, the loss of depth, meaning character. Pain, rightly faced, deepens life. It reveals what pleasure hides, the resilient heart of the human soul. Pain and the proper use of time. Pain teaches us urgency. It reminds us that time is limited, that opportunities are not endless. The wounded man knows that life is precious. The grieving heart learns to cherish what remains. Thus, pain focuses the mind. It strips away distractions. It calls us to live now, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. The Stoic seizes the day, not because he expects ease, but because he knows that even amidst hardship, life is worthy of being lived fully. The silent victories. Not every triumph is visible. There are victories that unfold in silence. Choosing not to complain. Choosing not to despair. Choosing to act with integrity when no one is watching. Pain offers countless chances for such silent victories. They are not celebrated by crowds. They are not recorded in history, but they are carved deep into the soul, forming the invisible pillars upon which a life of greatness rests. The strength to begin again. Pain often brings failure. A project lost. A relationship shattered. A dream broken. But the Stoic understands. Failure is not the end. It is an invitation. An invitation to begin again. To build wiser, firmer, stronger than before. Every setback faced with courage becomes a foundation for future triumph. The strength to begin again, even after devastation, is one of the highest proofs of the Stoic spirit. The final view from the mountain of endurance. Imagine standing atop a mountain, looking back over the valleys of your hardships. the rivers of your tears, the forests of your fears. From that height, pain seems smaller, less terrifying, more comprehensible. The climb was brutal, but it was also beautiful. The scars on your body, the calluses on your soul, they are not signs of defeat. They are the evidence of a life lived with courage. And from that summit, the Stoic smiles not because the journey was easy, but because he was equal to it. The mastery of pain, the Stoic legacy. The Stoics did not promise a life without pain. They promised mastery within it. Mastery of thought, mastery of will, mastery of self. Pain was not their enemy. It was their training ground, their proving ground. Through it, they built the only fortress that cannot be conquered. A virtuous soul, living beyond pleasure and pain. Most lives are lived chasing pleasure and fleeing pain. The Stoic seeks a third path, to live according to reason, independent of the shifting winds of sensation. Pleasure may come, he receives it without addiction. Pain may come, he receives it without despair. Thus, he lives beyond both. He belongs not to fortune, but to himself. His joy is not borrowed from circumstance. It rises from within, like a spring that no drought can dry. Pain as the measure of freedom. True freedom is not the ability to do whatever one wants. It is the ability to remain unmoved by fortune's blows. A man who panics at pain is a slave to sensation. A man who submits to fear is a captive of chance. But a Stoic, trained in hardship, rises above. Pain measures his freedom. The deeper he can endure without surrendering his reason, the freer he becomes, not from suffering, but from the tyranny of suffering. The gift hidden within pain. In the end, pain offers a hidden gift. It clears away illusions. It reveals the essential. It demands honesty. Who are you when stripped of comfort? Who are you when no reward is promised? When no applause is waiting? Pain poses these questions with brutal clarity. And if you answer well, if you hold to reason, to virtue, to your highest self, then you gain something that no ease could ever offer. Integrity, depth, greatness. Stoic immortality, leaving a different kind of legacy. The Stoics understood that physical life is brief, but the life of the soul, the life of character, the life of example, these outlast flesh and bone. Socrates faced death with calm. Epictetus taught freedom from a crippled body. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire with wisdom amidst chaos. Their bodies perished. Their teachings endure. You too build a legacy every day by how you face your private struggles. Not in statues or fame, but in the silent influence you leave on others. Your resilience, your kindness, your courage. Remembering the core truths, pain lies. It tells you that you are weak. It tells you that you are alone. It tells you that you cannot endure. The Stoics whisper a different truth. You are stronger than you know. You are never truly alone. You share in the long, unbroken brotherhood of those who have suffered and prevailed. And you can endure more than you dream. Pain is loud, but the truth is deeper, quieter, stronger. Closing reflections. The quiet triumph. There will be days when you feel the weight of the world pressing down. There will be nights when sorrow seems endless. There will be moments when pain blinds you. Remember then, it is not the pain that defines you. It is the way you rise to meet it. With patience, with wisdom, with unwavering commitment to the good. This is the quiet triumph, the victory the world may not see, but the soul always remembers. Pain is a lie. It says you are broken, but in truth, you are being remade. Pain says you are defeated, but in truth, you are being tested. Pain says you must surrender, but in truth, you are being invited to rise. The Stoics knew this. They lived it, and now Through their wisdom, so can we. If you found value in these timeless lessons, if you wish to walk the same path of strength, wisdom, and clarity, then join us. Subscribe and continue your journey with those who choose to live not by fear, but by virtue. New insights, ancient truths, modern courage awaits you here. Stay strong, stay free, and until next time, live as the Stoics lived.